But tonight we have a really special event. We've done so many highlighting our different design paths, our different homes, feasibility studies, but this is a new one for us. And it's diving into the sort of philosophy behind small home design, how we do it here at Backyard ADUs. With me tonight is Desmond Gregory. He's our head of pre-construction. We were chatting earlier, and Des has been doing all things construction and design for just as long, if not longer, than I've been alive. So we're lucky to have him tonight. He's a wealth of knowledge and experience. And so without further ado, I'm Tim O'Reilly. I'm a small home advisor in Massachusetts. And so I help customers turn projects into realities. So tonight, Des and I are tag teaming small home design. And let's get right into it.
Well, welcome. Again, my name is Desmond Grega. I am a director of pre-construction here, which means I head up the design team. I have been doing this an awful long time, not just in small homes. I've done a wealth of jobs from restoration work to large homes to commercial, but small homes always speak to me. And it requires a special mindset when we get into design. As we go through tonight, we're going to, our agenda is to go over the design process and overview, and to kind of all of what that entails about how to go through to be at the end have a great design. The second part is we will run through a lot of our small homes, and we'll show you some of the stuff we've built, and Tim will run you through some of those, and we'll show some great pictures of what those look like and some solutions for smaller spaces. And then at the end, if I don't talk too long-winded, we'll have a session where I'll actually pull up the design program and I'll do a little live design in front of you to show you some things of how you can take these designs and kind of make them your own and solve some solutions to maximize the space that is allotted. Moving forward, I'll jump right in to the design process. I'm very process driven. I've been in design build for over 20 years. I've done this for a long time, and I very much believe in sticking to a process so that nothing's missed along the way and that all of the needs are answered through the process. So when you're done at the end, the design actually fits what the original intent was. So with that, the process of how to design small. Believe it or not, there's not much difference in the process between small and large in the overall. There's a lot that comes up into the very specific details, but the process, the same care is needing to make sure just because it's small, we still have a lot of rooms and a lot of detail we have to make sure are right and fit our needs. The first thing as we get going in the process is to understand the constraints of the site for your project. At Backyard ADUs, we have a civil engineering team. They come in and they review the zoning, they review that, but this is a lot of stuff that you can start the process on your own. And there may be things that are site constraint from a steep hill or a favorite tree or something else. And these are the things to start the process of, okay, I want to do this project on my property. And if you're building on a property where this is going to be an ADU, you'll have the existing house to work around. If you're building it on a blank lot, you may have a little bit more open, but there still might be conditions of wetland or other things. So the first place to start off is, what are my constraints? The second set to really get involved in is set goals for the project. What are you trying to achieve? And this gets lost sometimes in the design process. So what we want to do is, why are we building this? Is it a home for a couple with one child? Is it a home with someone with special needs? What is the overall purpose? Is this a place that's going to be for a rental, for extra income? Clearly define what the goals of this are going to be. And it's not always clear. Sometimes people say, well, I have this space and I want to put my aging mother in the backyard, and then after that, it may be a rental, maybe this or maybe that. But get those goals figured out. Those are things that we can't answer for you, and those are great things where if you have clear vision, a design team can come in and really help get you going in the right direction. The
And
second one is,
I would just
go
add
ahead.
there too, we often have clients that set multiple goals. And like you're about to talk about, we juggle those in communion of what's this goal, short term, medium term, and long term, because this is a big project. Our houses are going to be there for a very, very long time. So we can work with multiple goals in mind.
And the trick is to develop that vision in the beginning. The more we know about what your ultimate goals are, the more we can help meet those needs. And that goes for any design team that you're gonna wind up going with. Identifying the budget early on. Nobody likes to talk about money, but we all know building costs money. And we want to get realistic expectations going right from the beginning of, you know, how much can you spend? And then how much do you want to spend? Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And then if how much you can spend doesn't equal the project to be viable for you, then do we put it on hold until you can figure out other sources of revenue? Do we design it differently? But the budget needs to really be thought of in the beginning of, okay, what do I have available? What am I trying to do with this? How am I going to pay for it? Am I going to be doing a home equity line of credit? Am I going to be doing a construction loan? Am I going to be borrowing against retirement? All of those things need to be thought about very, very early on. You may not need to have 100% of the answers. That's where talking to experts in the field can help you, give you guidance for what you're looking at and kind of start getting you some ballpark pricing. But we need to start thinking about identifying that budget very, very early on, so you don't get down and get your hopes up for something that is very much over your budget. Or sometimes, on the other hand, you may think it's going to be more expensive, and we get done with the design process and go, oh, I could have done that little bit bigger kitchen that I wanted. I could have done this. So it can go both ways, but identifying that budget early will allow you to get into the design process with clear vision. And at each step of the way, every time we make design decisions, it can be put against that budget to make sure things are still tracking. The last thing we want to do is get working on a design project and then find out that we can't move forward because we've designed beyond the budget. And I've been on jobs like that. It's no fun. So I'm very much always in the forefront of bringing that dreaded topic of the money up to the very forefront when we start a project. Anything to add there, Tim?
Yeah, I would just say that they're at the initial outset, before you're designing, before we're at this stage, we're also transparent about money. So we update our pricing guide. The goal there is holistically to show you what does a house cost in your backyard. And then we could do something like a feasibility study where we can get really, really specific for your lot. And that just gives people good information up front to make informed decisions, to then move into that design phase where you're spending more energy and more time. And even in that design phase, I'm thinking of one project we worked on together, Des. Uh, we chewed on that design. We got what they needed in there, and we hit their budget. But through that design process, we also help them go and navigate and find some additional funds through the state, which increase their budget. And then we're allowed in that design to then add more of those things that they were wanted and check off things they were thinking about adding down in the future. And we'll look at tonight some ways that our models can be expanded to say, hey, what fits our budget now, but how can we set you up for success if you do want to add a deck or a screen porch in the future, or a 1-car or 2-car garage. So we're open and transparent about that, and it ties right into goals. What are we doing now, and what's that long-term vision?
The next point in the process I like to talk about is get the most from your design team. And whether you're using backyard ADUs or any other builder, the trick to do is you're in charge of the product, but again, be prepared to explain what your goals are for the project and be clear. Bring in the budget about where you think you're at and where you might need help with that. Um, the design team is used to building for many different clients, and every job is unique, every client is unique. So sometimes the best thing you can say is no, I don't like that. And designers have thick skin. We've been through it, and direct answers and being clear to what you don't like a lot of times helps get us on the road to what you do like. And sometimes people say, "Yeah, that's kind of nice." That's not a great answer because I don't know how if it's they don't want to offend me, or if yeah, they kind of like it, but maybe something could be better. So a lot of times looking at that and saying, hey, no, I really don't like this. Can we look at something different? Gives us a way to go and be very active in that, because we're going to start off very broad in the design and we slowly par down as we go through, and the only thing we can hear is what you say. And if the designer's going too fast, slow them down and say, wait, we need some time. We want to take a look at this. We want to revisit this. And it's better than going all the way down a design path and then having to do a 180-degree turn and come all the way back to the beginning and go down a different path. But you know, like I said, every client's different. Speak up and help that design team make this your project. Um, with that, speaking up, you also have to listen to the design team. Um, they're experts on what they're doing. They've done a lot of these, so we have the budget in mind. So when they tell you that you know this screen porch or this extra you want is going to cost X amount of money, that's probably what it's going to cost. And you have to be careful not to set unrealistic expectations by saying, oh, this is great, we'll just do this and this. Oh, and we'll just add a deck. That won't add very much. Well, it might add $20,000 if it's a massive deck. I had that happen to a job where we had priced in a deck that was 10 feet by 12 feet, and then when it got down to building it, they wanted a 24 by 36 deck, and they were shocked about how much the difference in price was. So you want to really listen to what they're saying and then internalize that feedback into what you want to do with your design and give them that feedback of where you want to go. Jim, would you like to add?
Yeah, we have a great question coming in. And it's basically, how does your pricing vary by location? And I think just add a little more nuance there as how does our designs and pricing vary based on location, but also job site? Um,
For us,
for us.
um, yeah, for us, our pricing really doesn't change. What's going to change for the pricing is the conditions of the site. And there may be some subcontractor increases in price with crane operators. We do work down on the Cape, and of course, being down there, some of the subcontractors are going to charge us a little bit more. And then, but it's pretty mild overall. Our price being modular is pretty much the same across the board, and what we charge for the design and our costs are pretty much even all the way throughout. Did I miss anything, Tim?
That's it. Our fees are fixed, whether you build 500 square feet or 1,000 square feet. We're still going to do this design process. We're still going to engineer it, and then we would look at site specific stuff. You know, are we doing a new septic, things like that. But we're gonna again through this whole design process, keep the big budget in mind and back our way into it.
And another thing that does change from location is permitting, depending on what your town wants to charge for permits. We have no control over that, but we will vet that out very early in the process of what those fees will be from there. But you know, just outside of Boston to Maine, there's a big difference in permitting cost.
Absolutely, and headache, but we won't get there. All right. Um,
All right, this is a big topic, and this is something I want to spend some time on here, is identifying needs, wants, and dreams. Um, needs, this is the core of why this home's being built. These are the things that if we can't meet the needs, there's no sense going through with the project. So this comes down to, I need 2 bedrooms. I need office space. I need to have a laundry room. Those are the things that are core to this project where we can't do it and we can't make it work, that would stop the project. So these core needs, it's good to identify. And as we go down through these, it's important to do this for every room, because as you go into your bedroom, you may say, I need to have at least a 6 foot closet. I need to have, these are the minimums I need. Um, then you get into the wants. The wants would aid greatly in your living experience and are something that are pretty high on your list, that are kind of hoping to be included, but if you had to sacrifice, you would, but there'd be a little bit of pain involved. Um, and then dreams, of course, are something that, boy, I would really like to have that. That would be something that just would make my spirit jump, and I'd really like to have that. That'd be great. And a great example I use for this is in a kitchen, you need to have a range. You may want to have a cooktop and a wall oven, but then you may really want to have the double oven. That might be the dream. Or you may want to have a pizza oven, and I've had that before. And that really may just go beyond the budget and may not be practical. But if you get through the whole design and that's that one dream item you want to do, you can put that in, and that gives you that thing that really makes this home unique to you. And so I don't want to always say that the dream items are a no-go, but they need to be evaluated. But you need to understand, as we're going through, what do we absolutely have to do? When we're designing small, a range makes a lot of sense. Wall ovens take up another 3 feet of wall space and another cabinet. They also raise the budget quite a bit because it's a specialty cabinet, but it may be something where I've had people who no longer can bend over and they need to have that oven at waist height. And so it really now isn't so much of a want as it's a need, because it makes the kitchen usable for them. And so that's something we want to identify. What are the needs? What do we have to have? And those are great things to kind of go through before you start talking to your designer about, hey, these are things I really have to have. So in that first design run through, they can go, okay, we got to have this. And then the wants, these are things that we can try to squeeze in and try to do. And then there might be that one item. We have one design, they really want a door that opens up 10 feet and is an accordion outside door. And that's kind of a dream, but that's the one thing they're going to pony up and pay the extra money for. And that's really going to make this house theirs. That's going to fit their lifestyle. But you want to kind of identify those things very on. And when you're starting to think about this project, think about the rooms. What do I have to have? Not everybody thinks about their bedroom, but what do I like about the space I have now? What do I need for storage? Can I par down? Me and my wife just moved and we had lots of storage, and we've cut our stuff in half. We don't need half the closet space that we used to have. So the thing is identifying, what do I really need to have? And then what would be nice that I could possibly give up? And having those terms kind of figured out and having that conversation amongst the people who are going to be living in this space is really helpful to the design team to move on, to kind of get this space into what you want it to be. Tim, would you like to add?
I think you hit the nail on the head. I'm not just thinking about specific places where people sort of stretch and hit those needs and dreams or wants and dreams. Often custom tile backsplash. I've had some customers who go out and find that one thing that they love. It's a great area to customize. Thinking of another project where, because of our flexibility in design, we did a lot of like bump ins in space where they could have furniture now, but down the road, they could do built-ins, big, beautiful built-ins. So just giving you the flexibility to check those boxes, maybe down the road, for those things that don't fit right now.
And some of the things like, like I said, these places are tight on space. I did a conversion in a basement at one point in time to an ADU, to a son who had, was confined to a wheelchair. But the one thing is it had to be done on a very strict budget. But the one thing he wanted was he wanted an aquarium built into the wall. So when he sat there in his living room, he can see that. So we were able to do that. He couldn't afford it right away, but we prepped this alcove underneath the space, which was underneath the existing basement stairs, to accommodate that in the future use. And about a year later, I went over there, and there it is. He had that fish tank in the wall, and he couldn't have been happier with it. So, these are the things that we can be forward looking for. And as much as the needs, this is it's just what the project has to have. The wants would be nice, but don't exclude the dreams. The dreams are what makes the house unique. That's what makes it uniquely yours. And we don't want to take that away. If you're building this for rent or for an Airbnb or something like that, well, then just you can get rid of those dreams because we're gonna do something a little bit more practical. But all of that in there is just forward thinking of what you would like, and then when it gets down to it, there are times where that might be the one area where you want to stretch the budget to get that one unique item. So don't discount it right away from, oh, that's unrealistic. Let the designers do their legwork and see what they can help you with.
And I think a good example of that too on the higher end is, basements and second stories.
Yeah.
And so that's one where, hey, there's a bigger price tag up front. There's a lot of work to do that, but it is space that you could finish later. Or if we do a big 12-12 roof pitch down the road, if you need more space, you could, change your installation strategy and finish up top. So those are things we all work on too to again, design holistically.
Yeah, and I do have an example of that in our live design session of a lofted space that will be finished down the road. So that's a great example to bring up. Next one is work to maximize budget. Does the cost meet the need and expectations? This is a huge one. As we go down through, you're going to do that final evaluation of the budget, and you're getting down to the final decisions. Finishing selections can really blow a budget. So this is where, as you're getting to the finish, you need to start really looking at everything and start going, is that custom tile worth going over that budget by $3,000 or $4,000? Is can I do something in this finishing selection to keep the budget on track? Very wisely go through your final choices and make those decisions so that you can try to help keep the budget to where you want to be. And then the end, does that final budget achieve the original goal, and is it worth the cost? If you've gone through and your budget of what you have is $300,000 and you're at 310 or 315, but it meets every need, and then you get a couple of your wants and a couple of your dreams, then is that worth it? Then great, move forward from there, and we'll work from that point. But also sometimes what unfortunately happens, and I haven't been involved in a project like this in a while, but is that you'll come down through, and at the end, because of site conditions and because of budget constraints, everything's been chopped down to something that might fit the budget, but it's not really fits the original goals. And then we have to reevaluate, and that's the time to do it before we move forward with that. But sometimes it happens in discovery that through the process that the project isn't going to meet the needs, and then we have to reevaluate from that point. And I don't like to talk about that, but it's a realistic thing that does happen. All right, Tim, do you want to start going through some of the models? We're at that half-hour mark, so I think we're right on time.
Definitely. Let's hop right in. So we, in this design process, as Des has done for 30 plus years, there's a lot of different options, but we like to sort of start with a base. Often, this is coming from us coming out and doing a feasibility study where we get the lay of the land. What's your lot? What are your goals? What are your utilities? How big can we build in your town and to hit your budget? And from there, we're going to start working on our shape and then getting more and more granular as we move through the house, working outside to inside to check all those boxes as we're designing. So let's take a look. Let's start with some straight lines, some S lines. These are the smaller one bedrooms. We do have a whole series talking about smallest homes. That is on YouTube. You can go check that out if you want to learn more about, the real nitty gritty of S lines. I just wanted to highlight for you some exterior photos. What do these look like? How can they vary? We've had clients with different needs and different goals. So we've been able to work with people to fit. This is a comfortable one bedroom, 500 square feet. A lot of different ways you can add decks and porches, but without compromising sort of those core tenets of how you can use the space on the inside. So if we go to the next slide, different ways to lay out, kitchen, open concept, kitchen, living room. How much do you use that kitchen? What's the layout going to be? What's the furniture you're going to fit in there? What are our views? Often when we're working in this S line, this longer shape, we're focused on not only windows and light, but long views. How do we make this space feel much bigger than 500 square feet? Do we have any S line plans we want to play around with, or do you want to save
Yes,
that?
I do. Well, we can jump into, because I have a great example here of a way we can make an S line look different. So let me go over here and do a new share. So what we have, can you see that, Tim? Did that come up?
Yep.
So this is one of our smaller S-line plans. And you'll notice between this one and the next one I'm going to show you, they look pretty much the same from the inside. This is a very efficient design, but what we have this on this plan here is we have a very standard look on it with a gabled roof. And it works on a couple different options, and this is a very simple. But then as we go in, we can come in, and this customer wanted something that looked a little bit different, but they wanted the same very small plan for their customers or their parents when they visit to be able to stay. And this actually gets to be 10 feet from a barn, so they have no windows on the side because they don't want to look at the barn. But now we have something that looks like an outbuilding on their farm, which is what they're hoping for. But believe it or not, this has the same footprint, the same design on the inside. The only difference is this has a sliding glass door for a side entrance, where the other plan did not. So these S lines can be modified to fit the existing house. They can do higher pitches, lower pitches. You can do dormers. Of course, with everything you do, there's costs associated, but something like this is a minimum change in cost, and it fits their property and suits what they were trying to do a little bit better.
Neat. And we worked with them on siding choices, not only roof lines to get those looks. And so on the inside, how can we modify these to basically, fit someone's needs, whether they're thinking about aging in place or rental or for children?
And so this one is really small. And what's great about this plan is, of course, it's on the lower end of the budget, so it's a price point. But what's nice is, depending on what the need is, if this had to be an aging in place and you needed an ADA bathroom, it's very easy to stretch this a couple feet and come into the bathroom and go ahead and make that to where you have that ADA circle and wheelchair access. So all of these are, very adjustable for what we can do uh, moving forward. And then the other item about these are, with an S line, you can really only move forward and backwards. But by doing the length, you can start dividing more space. Um, and then I don't know, I guess like this one here, these people, because the people will be eating in the main house, did not really want any place big for a table. There's not really a great space for that. So you can look at a couple of different things. You can look at different furniture, or if you wanted to, we could just do a couple feet and then everything can slide down. And then you have room for a nice kitchen table and you can adjust windows from there. So there's a lot of adjustments you can do in this to make it more appropriate for the individual use. And some things you can do, this is kind of a private office area. It could easily become a storage area. The door could come out or it can be in addition to the bathroom. So many options that can happen from here as we move forward.
I worked on one recently, and the clients decided to put a slider sort of in that transitional space, because they wanted to sort of bring outside in and do a future deck. So they wanted to keep that nice big set of windows in the living room, but then pull that outside in. So lots of different options there.
And there's really no constraints on these. The nice thing about them is they're a simple structure. So there's not really much worried about loading or structure or anything like that. So we can really do an awful lot with these. And doing windows really makes these feel nice. And I love the ones that we can do the windows on one side. And I know this one had the barn, but originally we had some windows over the sink, and having that just gives real depth and really opens up the space to this.
Yeah, and I remember this one, like you said, we're trying to block the barn, but people can also put a window in the bathroom, bring some light in there. And then that bedroom space, depending again on, what are your wants and your needs? How much closet space do we need? I know a lot of people on the S lines that I've worked with, sacrifice a little closet space, but build a little bump in desk nook there. So they can fit a desk, put a couple windows in the corner, and really open.
Yeah, and that's a nice thing about shortening this closet is if you really had a nice view, you can actually do a little bit of do a smaller closet here, and now you've got another window. Now you've got light coming in from everywhere. And this is great. And it's also great for cross breeze coming through. So, if you don't need the big closet space, this is a great way to do that. You can shrink this down to, this is 5 feet. It could be 6 feet, anywhere in there. It just depends on the needs.
Great. Let's look at some boomerangs. I'm excited to show everyone what we've been working on and what we've built with those.
Okay, I'm going to show the pictures here.
The boomerang was also featured on our smallest homes webinar. So check that out to learn more. You see the one in the top right was just featured in our newsletter. I'm going to go there tomorrow. That just wrapped up out here on Cape Cod. Below it as well is Boomerang on Cape Cod. And then this other one is up in Maine. I haven't been there, but the Boomerang gives us a little bit more dimension versus the S-line in the yard. It also gives us some options of laying out bedrooms, bathrooms, and closet space. Let's take a look. This is, let's see, this is actually where I am now. Someone just asked, where's the Boomerang on the Cape? We have one out in Truro and the other one is in Katuitt. So if you're interested in taking a look, you'll have my email at the end of this call. Just shoot me a message and you can come check it out. But little features, this homeowner decided, hey, I got a small bathroom here. This is where I am going to splurge. I'm going to do a tile floor and a tile shower. And then in terms of their bedroom, what we can't see is a large bureau, but just having enough space. It's a bedroom. It's a place to sleep, get changed. And then we can't see it with the windows open, but a lot of light in that space. So 2, open concept kitchen, living room, prioritizing the kitchen. With the peninsula, 2 people can work there, lots of prep space and full-size appliances. And then the living room, which we see going the other way, along with a bonus 3-season room. But you can pack a lot into 500, 600 square feet. This is the one we just wrapped up. Her mom is aging in place. So key core design tenets here is accessibility. So she can't reach very high. So we did no upper cabinets, and the homeowner is going to install shelves, open concept shelves, and a range hood after the fact. The bathroom, fully ADA. We have that full circle in there to navigate in and out of the shower and have her appliances there. And then that large oversized slider brings the outside inside. It's private, and she's going to do some beautiful landscaping and a future patio out there. And it's going to be a really beautiful home. Do you have a design we could look at, Des?
I am pulling it up right now.
Awesome.
So this is we are actually in the process of building two of these. This is what's great about the Boomerang is it just gives it a real nice feel. Gets away from being the long box. This one here had a great mud room. And then we've adjusted it to have a little bit of coat hanging here. Then a little bit of walk-in closet. Again, this can be adjusted to have an actual closet as you come in, and a smaller closet in the bedroom. These folks really they wanted to still keep a pretty reasonable sized kitchen. They wanted to have kind of full function. Coming over, it's a mom coming in and she still wanted to do her baking and do all of that type of stuff. So we were able to go ahead and still give the full kitchen with that. Now, with that being said, there are some great things that have come up. Speaking of how we can design small, but not lose any functionality, we put an 18-inch dishwasher in. Really become a great fan of these, and there's a lot of great products. A lot of them are coming from the Bosch and the Miele and the European products, but GE is really catching on. That they're doing a lot with 24-inch range or 20-inch ranges, and what they're doing is they're just doing better design on these. The 18-inch dishwasher loses almost no storage. Instead of 2 racks, it has 3. I had one in my last place, and I have a family of 4. It was fantastic. So some of the things we can do to try to bring down the size, even though this kitchen has a little bit smaller appliances and we have to be a little smaller, it still has full functionality for the baking she wants to do and the cooking she wants to do. And right here, she has a 30-inch fridge, but we've left room for a 36. So there's that room for expansion if she decides to do something bigger down the road. Again, we're getting into the point here with this has a real nice size bathroom with washer and dryer hookups. But this is another one where if it needed to be an ADA unit and we needed to have a little bit bigger space, it is something with simple adjustments we can go in. There's a cost associated with that, but now we have a very big bathroom where if someone had to have those needs, we can do that very, very simply and go that route, because this is a less than 600 square foot unit that would stretch it to 650, but then you would get that ADA bathroom. So there's a lot of things we can do to aid depending on the needs of the homeowner.
And the one we just worked on up in Truro, we were really cognizant of how the ADU and the main house played off each other and where there was symmetry and what the views would be. So we kept a lot of windows for light, again, to make it feel better, to feel it open, outside, inside feel. But the bedroom specifically, we modified her windows so that she wouldn't have views looking into the main house. So there's ways to do that, not only, fixing a window up on a wall, a transom, but where are they located? Are we doing doubles and singles? What I love about this plan is in that closet, we brought in a window. So if she leaves her pocket door open to her closet, she's going to get that light from 3 sides. But for privacy, in this case, where it's positioned to the main house, she'll just close her closet door. Her bedroom is private, but she's not really sacrificing on light and the open feel. This one's neat too. She really wanted, like Des said, the kitchen was big, but oftentimes, like the one we saw in Truro with a real efficiency kitchen, we could get rid of a peninsula. It would give you space for a big table. It could also give you space for more furniture, depending on really, again, what are your goals? What are your needs? How does it serve you now, in 5 years, 10 years, and in 30 years? So to give you option and flexibility.
Yeah, and that's that's her thing. And as you can tell by the, CAD is not a new software by any means, but you can easily go through and just have things changed out very quickly, so you can get an idea of what that space is, and then that gives you a little bit of homework to do about what will work best. Do you need the bar stools in a big kitchen, or do you want to have a big dining room table in here? And lose the peninsula. It's all very easy to accomplish.
Great. I'm cognizant of the clock. We've been getting a lot of great questions, but continue to use that Q&A. Let's go look at some L lines. We've built a ton of these. I have a quick slide just with the S line and the Boomerang, just to sort of show you the difference. But we've already looked at that here, so we can blow right past that slide. The L line is essentially taking this Boomerang, this base model that's more sort of equilateral in its sides, and stretching it a little bit longer. It's getting bigger. We're more in that 700, 800, 900 square foot range, which starts to be that really comfortable 2-bedroom, and still having square feet to spend, more accessible bathroom, bigger kitchen, more storage. So we'll look at, again, some outside photos, some inside photos, and then take a look at a floor plan and some ways that we can modify it. We flip back to the slides. I know there's some technological magic happening in the background.
Are these all of the last of the L lines, Tim?
I can't see that screen.
Oh, I'm very sorry.
No, it's all right. I can.
There we go.
Perfect. Yes.
All
So
right,
lines. Again, we need a little more space in the yard. There's different ways to orient it. If you go back one, I just wanted to highlight some exteriors. The one on the left, they did a full basement. We talked about that earlier in terms of where are the wants, where can we spend money now and later. So you can put an L line on a full basement. And then we can also plan, how does that fit in the yard? Roof lines and aesthetics as well. The traditional gable, more of a monoplane. Are we doing traditional New England, trim, or is it a more muted look and highlighting, like in the top photo, the black colors and the cedar wood? So different options there on the outside. And then when we dive into the inside, it's, again, same simple tenants. How are we going to use the kitchen? What furniture is going in here? Where is that storage where we need it? The one we see on the left, you walk in the front door, which we don't see, but there's a closet right there. The client really liked this pass-through window. It's actually our model home up in Brunswick. So if you're up in Maine or ever passing through, you can come check this out in person. But that sort of picture frame window makes that space feel bigger. We're going to see one in a second where they didn't really like that. They wanted the entry to be private and then open up into the kitchen living room. Yeah, so this photo on the right, she wanted that wall to remain there so she could put her sofa and sectional and direct to the TV. But when you walk in, that closet is private and has space for hooks. Her kitchen here, she didn't need an island. She didn't want an island. Her kitchen is centered around the table. Sharing meals and having a big table is really important. So we didn't get photos once she moved in, but she's got a nice, beautiful big table there. And then she's looking out these 3 big windows, looking at Mount Tom. This one's out in Western Mass. But again, what's the storage? What's the space? That 18-inch dishwasher tied in, anchored into the corner there. It really, really works. And then she has this cathedral ceiling. So we're 800 square feet. We're fitting all those things now. But how can we make it feel even bigger? Let's do a cathedral ceiling, get a little more volume from the inside. Allowed her to do an extra set of windows. Let's see if we go back 2 slides. You can see that on the exterior. This is the top photo where she fit that extra set of windows because we did the cathedral ceiling, which just opens up that whole wall and makes that 800 square feet feel much bigger. All right. we've built so many L lines. There's a lot of different layouts. This person added a screen porch off of the back of theirs. They also decided to sort of invert the design, move the kitchen and living room and bedroom to one side and open up that L section to be this huge, gorgeous living room. One thing I find a lot of clients in terms of designing for now and later is a wood stove. These people knew we're going to do it right away, but I've had a lot of clients as well plan for adding that down the road. We're doing all electric construction, so mini splits for heating and cooling, but especially here in New England, not only the ambiance of a fireplace, but some people like it as a backup heat source. So we're often designing for that now or later. Yeah, other options on kitchens. What's your storage needs, prep space, hosting, and then bathrooms. I wanted to highlight this one. This person was planning for accessibility now. We're often always putting in blocking for grab bars in the toilet, in the shower, and they said, hey, let's go ahead and just do this now. We're going to prepare and we're going to be ready, but not sacrificing in their case plenty of storage, both in the cabinet below, but countertop storage in and around that vanity, and some custom tile floors.
Yeah, and that would be the dream, I guess, part of the needs want dream, but they got that in. It's fantastic. Okay, square.
Yeah, so the square, similar to our outline, it's the larger size. We're taking two boxes and we're merging those together, whether they're flush. Some examples of those. The beautiful one here we just finished in Sandwich on Cape Cod with the cedar accent, and the other one in the bottom right in Harwich. Or do we take those boxes and offset them? Not only give a little dimension from the street, but on the inside, give us some flexibility for the layout, especially if we have town requirements for size. That offset box, like we see in the bottom left, she got a covered porch as her entry porch, a space where her dog can be let out, but that doesn't count against her maximum size in the eyes of the town. So different ways to do it. And then the other one I wanted to show up in the top right is they added that covered porch now. So I didn't get a great shot of that, but that was a space they knew we want this now. Our dream is to screen that in the future, and we've been set up for success. The deck is in, structurally it's all there, the roof is on, the soffit lights, they just can come back, pick their level of finish, and screen that in. On the inside, tons and tons of options, kitchens, cabinets, colors. The pantry closet that we see in this kitchen is a great addition. We're always thinking, what do you need to store? Is it food? Is it appliances? Are we going to do more of a closet style, or go to the cabinet manufacturer and get one that blends in? I have one later that I'll show you. And then, open concept kitchen, living room. So lots of options, lots of different looks. Like Des said, whether you're jumping into the design phase now, something to start early is, generating ideas and thinking about getting inspiration from the internet, from tours, things like that. We've had clients come to us. You can tell everyone's sort of got a different vision, and we've helped them hit that. Yeah, a lot of different options. We're designing with that furniture in mind. That's that pantry cabinet. Yeah, thanks for highlighting that, Des. From the cabinet manufacturer, deep with trays, or do we want to go more that closet route? There's budget implications, there's aesthetic implications, but again, it comes down to, what are we doing and how are we going to make it work for you?
I do have a square one loaded up if we want to go through that real quick.
Let's definitely do that. We're getting close to the end of the hour. So get any questions that you have into the Q&A while Des pulls that up. We want to be a resource for you.
Okay, so this is a square box that is a one bedroom, but this is one where she wanted to have that expansion space upstairs. So we do have a staircase going up. She got her laundry room, got her open concept kitchen, but I'll show you from the outside. She had the room on the lot, and this is 800 square feet, but she knew down the road she'd want to have the grandkids staying with her. So what we've done is gone ahead and done this upstairs in a 12-12 pitch. So now she has room for 2 bedrooms or just bonus space for the grandkids to kind of camp out up here in this space. And then, of course, the stairs going right down. And she'll finish this space out at her own accord when she's ready to do that. But we've prepped her up for, like Tim says, for success down the road. And to go that route. The other thing with this is an open concept kitchen, and she wanted the old school farm table and she wanted to have the fireplace. So we've kind of all set it up. And then she wanted this kind of more modern look in her kitchen with the blues and the tile. So no matter what the vision is, we can make it happen. And then we just have to go through and work out the details. But this one is actually getting built as we speak. And I think this is a good one to talk about all the windows of getting all the light in place.
And it shows too just the level of detail we get into. So we've been looking at exterior photos and interior photos, and then we're here in the CAD software where we're actually designing that. We're putting in your furniture, we're putting in your choices for floors, for cabinets, for tile, because even though it's not the real thing, it will look pretty darn close. So in this design phase, it's often hard to translate 2D to 3D to what's it really going to look like in my backyard. And we're going to work you through each step of that to help visualize. And so you know exactly, what you're going to get.
This person happens to be an engineer, and they actually had us go through and we custom located all of the outlets to her specific need. Because she was very, very, as engineers are, they're very organized about where they need things, and they have a specific reason. So, we can get to that level of detail where we have everything located, so that everything has a home.
Great. We have one question that just popped up. They want to know if we could just talk briefly about a DIY shell. We do have a DIY shell webinar, so I encourage you to go to our YouTube and find that. But I guess, Des, I'm just going to reframe it slightly. In terms of this design process, how does the DIY shell, are there differences? How do we approach those versus everything we just talked about tonight?
It's a lot the same process up to the point of where we're picking out cabinetry and finishing selections. But what we want to do early on is see what a part of how far we want to take the shell. But coming down to the point where we're doing drywall and outlets and stuff along those lines, we do want to do a general kitchen layout, even though that might be something you're having someone else install or you're installing yourself. We still kind of want to put some placeholders in there for you so that we can get outlets and range outlets and all that located. So we have some design work to do, although we may not have to decide if you're getting a 3-drawer base or a tall pantry. But we do kind of have to have that rough layout. So we know where to put outlets, electric, and we need to pick the locations for the fridge, for the sink. And same with the bathroom. Even though you might have someone else install the shower pan and the tile work and the vanities, that's great, but we need to know the location so we can get all the plumbing and everything set up, because our DIY shells are coming all set for you to finish. But with that, we want to make sure we get the electrical and plumbing in. So there still is a lot to do with the layout. And with that, we're gonna, rough out the closets and rough out the size of the bedrooms and do all the same type of stuff we do in design. We're just going to stop once it gets down to the final selection of material. We'll let you have that fun, and we'll just make sure we'll get the layout exactly how you want it. So when your installers come in, everything should be in the right location for them.
Great. Yeah, and I'd say too, with that budget piece in mind, we're thinking about that as well. You'll have more homework during that process to say, hey, I need to go out and find these bids, but here's the size. Great. Take this plan and now go find, your whoever's going to do your basement or things like that. Backyard ADUs can help. We can take on some of that work if you're thinking of doing a DIY shell. But again, these core principles are the same. We want to set you up to make sure that when all is said and done, whether we're doing the finish work or you're doing the finish work, that the house works for you and on your property. And
when it comes down to finishing attic space or finishing basement, it may be something you're going to do down the road, but we're still interested in giving you a hand with it. So give us a shout back. We'll come in and put the floor and the drywall up for you. So that's just because we want to say budget now, and if you want to do it 2 years from now and you're not finding a lot of success, we'd be happy to come back and help.
So I think our last slide here, or do you just want to wrap us up with the keys, and then I'll just do a quick outro, let people know where to find more information. Yeah, so I'm in Massachusetts. If you're thinking about building here, I'll be able to help you navigate the process early on, thinking about town rules, your property, and then working through this design process through engineering and through construction. My colleague Jeff does the same in Maine. So if you're in Maine, reach out to Jeff. If you're outside either of these regions, that doesn't mean we don't necessarily serve you. Our team is growing. So reach out to either Jeff or myself, and we can help point you in the right direction. Des, thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
Don't forget to take a look at the website. We do have a gentleman who is answering the phones all the time. So if you want to come in through the website, he can also direct you to where you need to go. And my email is on there. Please reach out at any point in time to ask any questions. We'd love to help.
Great. Well, thank you, Des. This has been wonderful. I see a couple people thanking you as well. So this recording will be available in a couple days, uploaded to YouTube. I want to thank everyone for putting their questions in the Q&A. And our next event is in a couple weeks. Keep your eyes on your email. We'll be blasting out an invite so that you can stay informed on the next one.
Have a great night, everybody.